Today is podcast day. We're going to use Logic Pro to create a podcast, recording our voice and learning how to do that. So then we'll build from there, all right, of how to use our voice later on in more complicated ways. But this is just the beginning steps to us beginners. Here it goes. We're going to go ahead and learn these three important parts, and that's changing beats and measures to minutes and seconds, because that's what we want to use for podcasting and recording and audio, just speaking. Logic Pro built-in microphone, and that's that little camera that looks like this over here. We're going to use that to record. You're going to get close to record it like this, okay? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and understand that clipping is bad. It says so right there, okay? Just right, yep, that's it. That's what it says. It looks like this. We'll come back to that. All right. Now, I'll try to stick to the facts. You know how I like to give extra tips. I'll do that at the end. Here it goes. You wrote your 2 paragraphs already. Your script is ready to go. You don't have to read from the script, but it was there to help springboard your ideas for those of you who like to speak freely, so to speak. All right. Next, after you did that, here it goes. We're going to change the transport from beats to beats and time large. Go to your Logic Pro. Set up your audio track. Here it goes. This is your Logic Pro, and we're going to go ahead up here to the transport bar. Click on this right here, and you're going to go to beats and time large. Oh, look what it did. You can now see that I am 24 seconds in right here. You want to be about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Pause the video and do that. Great. Welcome back. Here it goes. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to record on this. You're going to get close and, like I said, do it right there. And you're going to do these things over here. You're going to arm the track, and then that thing up there, the red button R. And then up here, you're going to see that little circle and triangle. You're going to click on that. So let's arm the track. I'll sound a little funny. See, here I go. A little funny sounding, because I'm now doing double recording of my voice, etc. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and push this record button up here. I'll take off the metronome. Here it is. I have never had a pupusa before. I was 34, and my students were aghast. They could not believe that me, being the age I was, never had... Oh, you get the point. I'm going to take this funny sound off now. Okay, so I just recorded that. I will troubleshoot later if your mic doesn't work. Okay, just this is where we are. Check to see if there's clipping. Look down here. Is any of the waveform chopped off? What does that look like? Well, it looks like this right here, chopped off waveform. And you'll see that and identify that when I look at this right here. This is a chopped off waveform. You do not want that. It's like macaroni and cheese, right? You can heat up macaroni and cheese, and if it's not hot enough, you could always heat it up more. Add more volume. You could do that here too. But if you fry the vocals or fry the mac and cheese, there's no turning back. Okay, don't overcook the vocals. All right, so coming in there. Wrong button. Okay, so coming into here, this is what it looks like. Now, if you mess up a word or something, don't start over. Just add another track, okay? Add in that track right here. Sorry, I have someone calling me spam. That's why I checked my watch. All right. Now I'm going to go find out where I need to record from and start there again. Making sure I arm the track here and record. That me, being the age I was, never had a pupusa. Okay? And now I can just take this and put it right there. Okay, back this off. Now watch this. Being the age I was, never had a pupusa. Oh, it's too close. I'm going to have to just a little bit more. There it goes. The age I was, never had a pupusa. Yeah, see, you could do that. All right. Make sure you don't clip. What if your microphone's not working? Well, if it's not working, then, and you have one of these fancy mics, you could find the input here. Logic Pro, settings, audio, picking your mic here. This should be the system settings. My input device is this thing right here. But yours is probably, should be the MacBook Pro microphone. Or the Mac, whatever microphone. That's what yours should look like, okay? So if it doesn't work, test it out. Pause the video and do what I just did right here. Welcome back. You did it. You recorded it. And there's no clipping, right? no clipping, I'm going to click on this button right down here, okay? And this allows me to spread out. Okay, looks beautiful. No clipping, I love it. Let's save our project. Save as. I'm going to name this. And you want to put your DJ name, or whatever your artist name is, 1.07, because that is what assignment it is, 1.07. Then, after that, you're going to go ahead and type in the food you use. I use pupusas. Boom. And save it. Now look up there. Yes, replace it. Look up there. That, up there, is where it says pupusas. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and export it. Boom, boom. I'm going to highlight these 2 tracks. And I'm going to bounce it down. File, bounce, or you push Command B, okay? An MP3. If you're really doing a podcast, it's WAV. But for this, MP3, I'm going to push OK. It's going to bounce that entire thing. I'm going to name it. Already named, ready to go. Bounce it down. Let's take those screenshots now. Pause the video and do that, by the way. Now let's take the screenshots. Here it goes. You have to have in your screenshot this down here in the E, the edit, okay? And you have to go up there, and you also have to have this up here, the name that you see over there. And then Command-Shift-3. Command-Shift-3. Now I'm going to give you tips after that. I'm going to show you how to turn it in and give you tips. So take those screenshots. And now I'm going to go over here. All right. And I'm going to start the assignment. I got the text box. And I'm going to drop those in. There it goes. All right. Here's screenshot. Zoop. Other screenshot. Zoop. And I have this little thing right here that I can play right away and listen to it. Ooh. Status. Error code. Let's try that again. If you get that error code right here, all you got to do is just sign back in. Refresh the page. Okay, here it goes. Start assignment. Bring those in. I'll start with it. 1, 2, 3. I got my 3 screenshots in. I have the name on top. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to turn it in. Submit assignment. Let's see some confetti. Yeah. All right. Here's some special tips for you. Those of you who need it. Here it goes. All right. Don't save. Cool. Here it goes. While recording, okay, move this around, make it sound more intuitive. If you want to go ahead and do the special thing of adding the volume that you need here, check out where it's bouncing. 34, and my students were again. It's about -5.8. That's great. -6, you're going for that. -12, something like that. All right. I'm pushing X to bring that up, by the way, to see. I'm going to add compression. So a simple way to do this, again, we want to do simple first. And then later on, learning how to really use compression. I'm going to go to Add Audio Effects, and that's right here. See this? This button up here. You can push I for it. You go to Add Audio Effects. Make sure your track is selected, Audio 1. That's where I want it. I'm going to click Audio Effects, and I'm going to go to the compressors under Dynamics, Compressor. And then you could raise the volume from there. So I'm going to go ahead and loop this. My students were watch where it bounces. My students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students. Okay, so then it bounces where it needs to be. Okay, you want when my students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students were aghast. My students. I want to bounce it right in between the -10, -5. And then I'm going to add one more thing on it. And that's over here. It's another dynamic thing. It's called limiter. The limiter I'm going to go to. Now, this is very 101 to do this. Okay. -0.1 decibels. You want to see that. Okay. And then watch this. You see this clipping that happened? The 6 or whatever? My students were aghast. My students were aghast. So now you see how it's 34 and my students were, it might be too hot over here, okay? I mess with ratio, mess with the output gain until you get like -10, -5 bouncing in there. Let's see what we have here. Were aghast. They could not believe that me Now you're going to bounce at even levels across the board. That's how you add the volume to it if you need to. Now, if the audio sample is not enough, you do have to get it between like minus 12 is the key. Bouncing every down at minus 6 before you actually do some mastering, which Logic Pro has some automatic mastering you can do. Now, you see what I did there with that right there? I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to copy and paste it over here. That's what happens if you do it. Now it's on both. I'm going to tell you to do it to individual tracks first before I tell you to put it on your master, because we're beginning here. Okay, so that's very beginner stuff. But go look at videos out there to learn how to, if you really want to know how to add that great mastering to a voice, there it is. Because then you could do EQ, some other things too. Look it up out there. They have some great pre-stuff that you can have and find. But this video is just for turning this in and making a podcast. Now you're ready to go. Okay, so I hope that you had a good time. I was hiding. Hi, I'm back. I hope you had a good time. Do your thing. You're awesome. You got this. Turn your stuff in.